ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਟੀਵੀ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ। ਫੈਡਰਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ 2025 ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਨੇ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ 'ਚ ਇਹੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਕੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਔਰ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਆਂਢੀ US ਰੋਜ਼ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਨਵਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਖਾਸ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਨੇ। ਅਮਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਡੇ NDP ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਇਹ ਐਂਥਰੋਪੋਲੋਜਿਸਟ ਨੇ, ਲਾਇਰ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਟਰੰਪ ਸ਼ੈ ਕੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਅਮਨ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਦੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ।
ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਉਠਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰੋ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਟਰੰਪ। ਹਾਊ ਡੂ ਯੂ ਸੀ ਹਿਮ ਐਜ਼ ਐਨ ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲ?
ਯੂ ਨੋ ਦੇਖੋ ਤੂਫਾਨ
ਵਨ ਵਰਡ
ਤੂਫਾਨ। ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਪਿਛਲੇ 2-3 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਕਿ ਹੀ ਥਰਾਈਵਸ ਔਨ ਕੇਓਸ। ਮੈਂ ਟੈਰਿਫ ਲਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ, ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾ ਰਿਹਾ, 25% ਲਾਣੇ ਆ, 10% ਲਾਣੇ ਆ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਟ ਹੈਪਨਸ ਇਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਕਨੋਮਿਕ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ 'ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜੋ ਵਰਲਡ ਇਕਨੋਮਿਕ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ 'ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇਟ ਥਰਾਈਵਸ ਔਨ ਸਟੈਬਿਲਿਟੀ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਐਂਡ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ। ਇਸੇ ਲਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਵਰਲਡ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਐਗਰੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਆ, ਨੈਫਟਾ ਸੀਗੀ ਜਾਂ WTO ਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ APEC ਤੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਇਹ ਐਗਰੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਸਾਈਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਸਟੈਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਆਵੇ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ 'ਤੇ ਟੈਰਿਫਸ ਲੱਗਣੇ ਨੇ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਬਸਿਡਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਸੋ ਵੀ ਕੈਨ ਪੁੱਟ ਅ ਟੈਰਿਫ ਔਨ ਦੈਟ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟਸ should be traded on a different way, and you sign these agreements exactly to make stability. ਜਿਹੜੀ agreement US, Mexico ਤੇ Canada ਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ, NAFTA ਸੀਗੀ ਬੜੀ ਦੇਰ ਲਈ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ USMCA Trump ਨੇ renegotiate ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ. We've been working under that for the last few years. What he's come and done is just create chaos again, right? Torn all those agreements up. ਜੋ ਵੀ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਰੂਲਸ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਤੋੜ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ। ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਫੋਰਗੇਟ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਰੂਲਸ, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਡੋਮੈਸਟਿਕ ਰੂਲਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਆ, ਦੇਖੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ, the central concept of democracy is the rule of law, right? Separation of powers, rule of law. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਟਰੈਂਥ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਜੁਡੀਸ਼ਰੀ ਦੀ ਸੈਪਰੇਟ ਸਟਰੈਂਥ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, and that the judiciary rule of law is above everything else. And you've seen in the US that they don't respect the rule of law. The Trump administration doesn't respect that. They've deported people, even when judges have ordered them not to. Right? It's very, very, very hateful, very, very disappointing, and it's actually, frankly, quite scary. उन्होंने वही concept world trade थे भी उन्होंने कितने ने, they don't care about rules. We've seen that. ਜਿਹੜੀ मैं trade agreement ਸੀਗੀ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪ negotiate ਕੀਤੇ हैं, forget about anybody else, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਆਪ negotiate ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ Mexico ਤੇ Canada ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, he tore that up and put a 25% tariff on Canada, and a 10% tariff on energy from Canada. Same with Mexico as well. So tufan, chaos, that's how I would describe it. And he's a billionaire. As are his advisors, as are most of his cabinet members. These things don't matter to them, right? They affect ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ affect ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਮੈਨੂੰ affect ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ affect ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, workers ਨੂੰ affect ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਹਿੰਗਾਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ affect ਕਰੇਗੀ. It doesn't matter if you got 300 billions, ਤਾਂ 300 billion ਤੋਂ 250 billion ਤੱਕ ਆ ਜਾਣ, every day to day, it won't make a difference to you. That's really what it is. So it's unfortunate because you're playing with people's lives.
But ਕੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ?
Yeah, there's been some very, very good businessmen that are politicians. There's some good, really the quality of a good politician is someone who's able to empathize and care for people, right? And we've had that before. We've had that here in Canada. We've had that in the US. We've had that all over the world. And that's what what we have right now is really the politics of hatred and chaos that is ruling.
And it's scary to be a neighbor to
very, very
such
scary to be a
country.
neighbor, yeah. And especially to see how fast a democracy can start failing.
Absolutely.
To see how fast, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ ਕੋਰੀ ਬੁੱਕਰ ਦੀ, Senator Cory Booker ਦੀ 25 ਘੰਟਿਆਂ ਲਈ, very brave, 25 ਘੰਟਿਆਂ ਲਈ he stood up and he spoke about all of the things that are happening, right? Really, really brave. And he warned, he said, like, this is, with him, Senator Chris Murphy, also, talking about how the rule of law, this is the most scary thing, is that the rule of law, not only on trade, but also on just human rights and due process, is being thrown out of the window, right? Courts are telling them they can't do something, yet they go ahead and do it, or they ignore the court.
It's a big failure.
Big failure.
Yeah.
Deporting a U.S. citizen, or deporting someone who's there legally, married to a U.S. citizen, and then saying, yeah, we made a mistake. Even though the court told them to bring him back, sorry, we made a mistake. We can't bring that person back now. These kind of things, they're mean-spirited.
So what like today everyone was waiting for April 2nd. So today April 2nd, there's some new announcements which have come, and fortunately I think Canada's name is missing in those so far.
Name is not missing. He took quite a big aim at Canada, saying we've been treating the US unfairly, which is just not true. We've had a symbiotic relationship. I think it's a strong relationship for a very, very long time, and hopefully it'll stay. Because Trump will come and go, but that relationship should stay, and Canadians should stay strong. So, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਲਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 10% baseline tariff ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ, different for different countries. The UK is 10%, the EU I think is 20%, Lesotho is something like 50%, Vietnam, Cambodia I think ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲਾਇਆ ਹੈ, ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 26% tariff ਲਾਇਆ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ 25% ਰੈਗੂਲਰ ਟੈਰਿਫ ਤੇ 10% ਐਨਰਜੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਟੈਰਿਫ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੇ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਉਮੀਦ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਕਰੀਜ਼ ਕਰੂਗੇ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ। ਬੋਥ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਕਸੀਕੋ ਹੀ ਡਿਡਨਟ ਇਨਕਰੀਜ਼ ਦੋਸ ਟੈਰਿਫਸ, ਸੋ ਦੈਟਸ ਅ ਗੁੱਡ ਥਿੰਗ। ਇਹ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਬਟ ਹੀ ਡਿਡ ਪੁੱਟ 25% ਟੈਰਿਫਸ ਔਨ foreign made automobiles, exempting something, but that is going to have an effect, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਟੋਮੋਬਾਈਲ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ, USA, ਮੈਕਸੀਕੋ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੀ ਇੰਟੀਗ੍ਰੇਟਡ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪਾਰਟ ਰॉ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਜਾਏਗਾ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਕਸੀਕੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ, ਫਿਰ ਵਾਪਸ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਆਏਗਾ, ਫਿਰ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਜਾਏਗਾ, ਫਿਰ ਇਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਹਾਰਡ ਟੂ ਫਿਗਰ ਆਊਟ ਵੇਅਰ ਦ ਕਾਰ ਇਜ਼ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਮੇਡ, right?
And I think it was a perfect system which was in place, making the economy of scale and helping you use the strengths of each other. ਤੇ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਲਾਤਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰਾ
ਹਲਾਤਾ, ਐਂਡ ਇਹਦਾ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਵਰਕਰਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਇਕੋਨਮੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਹੋਗਾ, ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਫੈਕਟ US ਵਰਕਰਸ, ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਹੋਗਾ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਲਈ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਵੈਰੀ ਹਾਈ ਨੇ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ। They'll increase more.
So the car pricing in US is going to increase because of this,
absolutely, right? It increased, several thousand. And that's going to have a detrimental effect on everybody else.
So what is NDP party's stand on this? What is
this morning? Stand on this morning, Jagmeet's stand is very, very strong on this. So this morning, he made Jagmeet Singh and the federal NDP made an announcement in Winnipeg. He's in Winnipeg. He made that announcement. Really, the crux of it is that Canadians, we're proud to work hard, right? We were hard workers. The ਸਭ ਤੋਂ important ਜਿਹੜੀ Canadian, if you ਤੁਸੀਂ Canadian ਨੂੰ define ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, if you define what is a Canadian, the first thing that comes up is ਬਈ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਭਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ, a society where we take care of each other, right? It's Sikh Heritage Month. ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ concept ਹੈਗਾ, ਕਿਰਤ ਕਰੋ, right, ਵੰਡ ਕੇ ਛਕੋ, taking care of each other. That's a real central concept of Canadians, and we're proud of that. So we're not, Canada is not for sale. कभी भी 51st state नहीं बनेगा. Pierre Poilievre and the federal Liberals have, they've made their priorities clear, right? Especially Pierre Poilievre, the Conservatives. He's a champion of privatization. One of the best things about Canada is our horror stories suni diya healthcare diya USH. One of the prides of our of Canada is our healthcare system. And it affects each and every one of us personally. मेरे आप ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ, ਮੇਰੇ ਆਪ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, right? I'm a cancer survivor, colon cancer survivor. 1 ਮਹੀਨੇ radiation, 9 ਮਹੀਨੇ chemotherapy ਹੋਈ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 2 operations ਹੋਏ, ਕਾਫੀ ਵੱਡੇ operations. ਇੱਕ operation ਤੇ 8 ਘੰਟਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ, if I was in the US, I would be bankrupt. Here, I didn't have to pay anything for that, right? They took care of me. The system took care of me. We pride ourselves on that.
Absolutely.
And Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have made it very clear that they want to privatize healthcare, right? Itton alawa, we working with the federal Liberals, the Jagmeet Singh and the federal NDP have over the past few years brought pushed for universal pharmacare, which has come a certain way. Unfortunately, Mark Carney does not want to expand it anymore. He's stopping it, which will make it harder for some people to get drugs. We've pushed dental care, universal dental care, child care. Those are the things that Canada is proud of. We're proud of taking care of each other. The NDP, as he announced this morning, will not make trade deals to sell you out, to sell out Canada to big corporations or to the US or to other interests. We won't sell your healthcare system to private enterprises. We'll protect and grow good union jobs here to make industry stronger here. So उन्होंने 4-5 चीज़ां announce कीतियां सीगियां. एक ते जो हुन समा आ रहा है, it'll be very hard for people, right? So one of the things that he announced this morning is that we will meaningfully improve employment insurance over the next little while. Increase the benefit rate to over 55% to ensure workers have a livable wage. Itto alawa reducing the qualifying threshold to a universal 360-hour standard to qualify. Expanding EI work sharing programs. As well जो तुसीं apply करते हैं एक हफ्ते दा waiting period है. That 1 week can be very, very hard. Eliminate that 1 week period and extend those coverages to 50 weeks. Because we know over the next little while, workers, there are going to be, especially with the auto industry, there will be an impact and workers will be laid off. Secondly is safeguard jobs through strategic investments, right? Make those investments in public healthcare systems, building roads, things like that. In expanding our green energy, building a very clean east-west energy grid with Canadian products, Canadian steel, Canadian minerals to deliver affordable, secure energy to all of Canada. Ensure that families don't bear the cost of these tariffs. So, just tariffs, in Canada, ne reciprocal tariffs hold karne hai, right? So the government will be getting money from those tariffs. Well, let's use that money. Let's use that money and give it to the people who are affected. Give it to the workers who are affected. Let's use that money and make sure that the impacted workers in the auto industry, in the steel industry, that they're taken care of. Make sure that if your car is made in Canada, it's GST exempt. Make sure that essentials like heating, home heating, and other essentials don't have GST on them. He also announced, his fourth announcement was that he would, part of that is also cap prices on groceries. One of the things that we've seen over the last few years is corporate greed. Right? Prices increase ho rahe ne. Corporate profits big grocery companies and oil companies, they've been unprecedented. They've been making billions and billions of dollars in profits. And our food prices have gone up. So capping prices on grocery bills. Cracking down on price gouging by corporate giants. And other things that he announced is standing up for Canadian workers against corporate greeds. Banning American companies from procurement on federal contracts. Making sure that those contracts go to Canadian workers and Canadian companies. Key contracts again, right? Jire federal government dindi hai, and they're big contracts. They're worth a lot. Making sure that US companies don't get those, right? Making sure Canadian companies get those and Canadian workers get those. Stopping US companies that have gotten subsidies from stripping their assets and taking them out, right? Because we've paid for those assets, not the US companies. Making sure raw materials that they don't get exported raw, that there's value added to our aluminium, to our steel, to our lumber before it gets exported out. Expanding our trade to other countries. Those are some of the things that he announced, some part of our response to the tariffs and part of our response to the craziness that Trump has announced this morning. Protecting public services privatization, right? Making sure our healthcare system stays public and doesn't go private. A
recent removal of carbon tax by the BC government.
Yes.
How do you see it? Is it going to help you sustain environment, or it's
so
for the timing?
The consumer carbon tax was taken away, but there's still a price on industrial pollution, on pollutants, and there's many different things. Many different things that the government uses to make sure that we deal with the climate crisis that is not coming. The climate crisis is already here. And so one of the things that, as I said this morning, that Jagmeet announced this morning, is making sure that we build east to west clean energy system, because windmills ਜਾਂ solar panels ਦੀ layout ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, that uses, you know, Canadian steel, uses Canadian aluminium, uses those things, uses critical minerals, making sure that we have those here and we build that here with Canadian materials and Canadian workers.
ਸੈਲਫ ਸਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਟ ਹੋਈਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋੜ ਪਏ ਨਾ ਫॉर ਐਕਸਟਰਨਲ ਵਰਲਡ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ one of our best friend, best allies has suddenly turned an enemy, you know. It's like an enemy, right?
It's become unexpected. So the world is you know, the world is a different world at this point. And we need to expand to make sure that we're not just tied to one country.
And if Canada can't trust US, who should we?
Exactly.
Right? That's how it is, right? So anything else you would want to add? I think
no. I think you know, people over the next few weeks, you will hear lots and lots of different things. One of the biggest things that we've learned over the last few years is misinformation is a real thing, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ, ਕੋਈ meme ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ graphic ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ, look into it. 2 ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਨੇ ਗੂਗਲ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਰਚ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਵੀ ਗਲਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਹੀ ਹੈਗਾ, ਰਾਈਟ. ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨਟਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, they're so used to lying that they you know, even Pierre Poilievre regularly messages out things that are completely not true, right? If you see something, just take 2 seconds, go on to your best, you know, your favorite search engine and go and search it. You know, there's many sites out there. Snopes is one of them. There's many other sites out there that'll you know, that are there to bust the myths. Right. You'll see in the next 4 weeks there's going to be a lot of misinformation. Don't fall prey to the misinformation. Read and find out exactly what the different parties are for. And remember, in Canada, we vote for our local representative. Search your local representative, find out what they're all about, right? And vote with your conscience. You know, dekho bhi unhone ki kita hai, ki karenge, what their values are, and vote based on that.
Thank you so much, Aman, for taking time.
Absolutely.
बहुत ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ, and we would love to have you again and talk about certain updates ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਕਿਊਟ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ.
I'll be back.
So ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you really.
So audience, ਇਹ ਸੀ ਅਮਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਪਣੇ BC ਤੋਂ, and this interaction was more of ਕਿ ਇਹ ਟੈਰਿਫਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣ ਦੀ. ਬਟ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਸਟ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਦਿੱਤਾ, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टाइम है फेडरल इलेक्शंस. इट्स अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टाइम फॉर यू टू चूज़ who you want to rule your nation and take it out from where it is to what you want it to be. So अपना दिमाग लगा के अपनी रिसर्च करके, don't go by hearsay, अफवाहां नहीं सुननियाँ. सोशल मीडिया जिन्हों WhatsApp यूनिवर्सिटी किया जाता है उन्होंने बहुत ध्यान नाल देखो, अपना गूगल सर्च करो, अपने कैंडिडेट्स ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣੋ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन, वर्क एक्सपीरियंस देखो, and take a sound decision to vote for the right candidate. It is very important for Canada to be a strong nation. ਐਂਡ ਇਸੀ ਉਮੀਦ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸਮਾਪਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਵੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ TV, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ.